Oh. Make sure you get your wallpapers. That's not easy to do out of that. Anyway, welcome, wallpaper, to the review. Oh, this is actually two items. One's gonna get slightly more time than the other. One is slightly more impressive looking, toroidal, than the other. But either way, we are up in my mezzanine, called that because it's not a loft, because it's open on all four sides. I was yelled at. Look, I studied architecture. I was yelled at. It's called the mezzanine, not a loft. And I've set up a temporary surround sound up here, 4:3 format, actually in linear because we're walking. Studio 570s, the towers, on very, very advanced acoustical lifting. They're chairs. I whipped out the triangle center. You remember reviewing the center? This was like $900 fucking, mostly because of the finish. So I've got the triangle. What are you? You're the Esprit Voce Easy center. Just some random, Bucard S400s on the side channels, and the Q Acoustic 3030Is acting as a phone holder, and back channels. God, these things are sexy. And I brought it up here because two reasons. Number one, I had always envisioned with this space, which I have no idea what to do, and don't say pool table, I don't want to play pool up here. Everyone says pool table. I'd always envisioned putting a projection screen behind this support and having it come down, and then I could have friends and guests up here instead of in my basement. But the acoustics leave something to be desired. However, it's been fun to play around with this space with a full surround sound up here. Very much thanks to Emotiva, who sent out their new A7, which is their 7-channel amplifier. And that's it. I'm gonna talk about it, and we're gonna touch it, and we're gonna look at all the LEDs in the front, and you're gonna download that wallpaper in the description. And I'm gonna put music on in a second, but we're gonna discuss, they actually sent me 2 amps, the A3, which is a 3-channel amplifier, and this A7. The A3 is still in my basement because I feel like I know where I'm gonna use that. And this is gonna sit up here. I'd like you to note there are 2 cooling fans, which I actually have gotten them to turn on. If I leave music up here pumping, like out of every speaker, those will turn on, and they're relatively silent. I think once the actual case, I obviously took the cover off this, is in place, you'd be fine. The front of the unit is 7 LEDs, basically to indicate how many amps you have. There's a power button, which clicks off. Then that LED turns amber. We turn it on if we listen for the clicks. The fans spin up for a split second just to run tests and say they're spinning. And that's it. That's on. That's the front. The front is just that. The back of the unit gets a little more, it's not complicated because it isn't a complicated thing. It's just a lot. Because I've got all 7 channels in use. All 7 speakers up here are passive speakers. So they're all being powered by this. Big shout out to Micah for sending me a bunch of their 12-foot cables because frankly, I ran out. I just kept using them. This middle one, this white one, is one I made. It's actually labeled a Z-wire, but I don't make those anymore for sale. We'll start in the end here because this is like the actual, the thing. Status LEDs, so the lights in the front you can turn off if you don't want 7 blue LEDs, which I don't fucking blame you if you don't. You then have an input and output trigger, which you could see is plugged in simply with a 3.5mm, and you could hear it turned on and off as I unplugged it, because underneath this amp is the Emotiva BassX MC700, which I did review many years ago. And it was Emotiva's $500 entry-level surround sound processor, which if you recently watched my big mono price $4,000 one, it's a hell of a contrast to this little $500 unit, which Even that I said could be cheaper than that because there's no amplifiers built in. But it is feeding signal. I have a bunch of these old Liberty cables that I bought in bulk. And they all come up here, and every single channel gets decided on. I made a little OCD, so the center one of the 7 is center, left channel, left side, left back, right back. And the wires get distributed around, and that's basically it. What we have here is a very basic, and this amplifier is only about $700. Which $700, isn't that a lot, Zeos? For 7 channels of amplification at, wait, let me get the numbers right. Because these modern amplifiers can delineate, if you have all the 7 channels running, it's 1 power. And if you have only 2 channels running, like for stereo mode, it's another power. So let me pop this bitch open. All channel drivens, 8 ohms, which we vary wildly here, which is another reason why I did this. Mostly because I actually don't have 7 of the exact same speaker. But because, fuck it, if I have 570 towers and a $900 triangle center and I got boot carts just sitting around doing nothing, on the boot cart stands, by the way, so sexy. And then those things just come with stands, so just carry those up here like that. 90 watts RMS into 8 ohms. 125 watts RMS into 4 ohms. So this amplifier will handle a 4 ohm load, which is pretty good because most receivers, most separate receivers, if you were to spend $1,000, $2,000, 4 ohms is getting there. It's like there are 4 ohm speakers, but they don't recommend you plug in. It's like because it's a stress thing. This is a separate giant fuck you tordial transformer amplifier. It can handle 4 ohm loads. However, so you get 90 watts every channel, 125 watts every channel into 4 ohm. Then if you look at 2 channels driven, and I don't think it's specifically any of the channels, it's just 2 channels, and there's no switch. Like it isn't like you flip a switch and say now it has more power. If all the channels aren't being driven at the same time, which in most movies isn't the case. Like you're not watching a movie and everything comes on all the time. I wish it did, but it doesn't. It will actually up the power output into 8 ohm. Instead of 90 watts per channel, you get 120 watts per channel. So in a bit, we're gonna turn on this Sangean HD radio, which I have to review. I was gonna give it its own review, but I feel like this doesn't get reviewed without this, and that doesn't get reviewed without this. So this is gonna feed us a stereo signal, and those 2 JBLs are gonna turn on, and they're gonna get a full 125 watts per channel, 120 watts per channel, I'm sorry. And if they were 4 ohm loads, which you're 6 ohm. So these are 6 ohm loads. So if they were 8 ohm loads, that's the usual average, easy to drive, they'd get 120 watts. If they were a 4 ohm load, the 2 channels driven will give me 175 watts. So they're probably gonna get somewhere in the middle, 140-ish watts. Anywhere between 120 and 175, they're gonna get that amount of power because they're the ones being pushed. All these other channels go to sleep, and that whole thing gets to push straight to those. That's pretty nice because again, like if you're watching movies, if the center channel is taking all the abuse, you're getting more power. Basically, they're telling you all channels driven, 2 channels driven. I guarantee you it's just a reserve in this monster through these caps, and this is the main power board. So you've got 110 running here, doing its thing into this, then it comes out of this into these, into all these, which gets this nice heat sink, which doesn't get warm unless you're actually pumping it. When you are pumping it, the fans turn on, and it just silently goes, and it's all good. So, any other specs I want to read before I talk about more about this unit? Power bandwidth, blah, 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 blah. 10 hertz to 80,000 hertz. A lot of amplifiers will say 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, because they can't reliably produce anything below that or above that. This is claiming down to 10 hertz and up to 80,000 hertz because it's modern. I want to say digital amplification, but it's not really the right term. So I won't say that, but I said it, but I didn't say that. Total harmonic distortion plus noise, A-weighted, reference rated power, 0.02%. So it's not like the highest end quality. You know what Sony receivers 10 years ago were rated? 1% distortion. 1%, 1%. This is 0.02% distortion. In fact, the only one that I have that's a receiver that's better than that is my father's old Pioneer Spec 2 from the 90s that was Japanese made. That thing did 0.003%. So actually like 100% of that. So it's just like, that's good. That's a good amount of power. The Sonys are garbage amps in receivers. Modern Denons and Marantz can probably get around this, but not with that level of power. Dampening factor is 500, input sensitivity is 1.2 gain, gain's 29 decibels, blah, 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 blah. It weighs 30 pounds out of the box, 36 pounds boxed. Can we minimize this? Wallpaper, close. So, it's been real weird having a surround sound up here, by the way. So our triggers, if you don't know what triggers do, triggers make it so that like the bottom unit, which is obviously the main unit, it's got the HDMI input, it's got the fiber optic input, it's got actually had a 3.5mm hanging off of it, which I could have pulled out for this video. When that's on, this comes on. When that's off, this goes off. That's what triggers do through a very simple 3.5mm mono plug. It's got 5-way binding posts under each one. I will say, and I've only had this happen on this unit ever, and it doesn't seem to be affecting it really, but all the RCAs like sort of wiggle, every one of them consistently. And I've used these wires on hundreds of devices. These Liberty cables are, you know, the same. Something about, because they go in, they make contact. There's no issue with that. I just don't know, it's almost a feature because I feel like things get yanked. And if it's got a little bit of give and still makes contact and you don't get that stress on the connector, I count it as a win. It automatically senses 110 versus 230. There's no switch to switch. So when you plug it in and turn it on, one of these lights will come on. Both of them come on. Run. I don't know what that means. You got a main power bus switch. So you have a soft off in the front that is triggerable, trigger on and off with that. And then you got a hard power off in the back and a standard plug connector for power. I'm using a weird one that I used, a doubler. It's a whole thing. You don't have to see my Emotiva Bass X. I was upset with this, not this unit, but I was upset with the Monoprice amp, or processor, I should say, because this is in my house. And a $4,000 Monoprice HTP1 surround processor, and I couldn't use this. Because this is one of Emotiva's cheaper units, it's $700 for a 7-channel amplifier. In fact, their entire lineup, wallpaper, thank you. Their entire lineup Omelette. That is so clean. Their entire lineup is as follows, because I don't think people understand exactly how many amplifiers Emotiva now makes. Let's scroll up. So in the A series, they now have the A2, which is this chassis with just 2 channels, $449. Okay. They have the A3, which is down in the basement, which I have, which is $500. So it's $500 for 3 channels, but more power. When I talk about that one, I'll go into the full specs. They have a 4-channel amplifier for $550, a 5-channel amplifier for $600, a 6-channel amplifier for temporarily unavailable, and this 7-channel amplifier for $700. They then have the stereo preamp DAC with tuner and integrated amplifier for $550. Then they've got the big ones. So these are like the half height. These make sense. These are sensible. I'd have no problem pushing literally almost anything in my house with this amplifier. It's proven itself. I'm coming nowhere. I'm at negative 16 dB on the processor, and it's getting loud up here. There's a lot of echo, obviously, but I'm not concerned with like it. Oh, it can't handle it. It can handle it. But if you wanted to go absolutely bizarro, Stormy, you could do a custom built $1,200 one where you could put as many amps in as you want, because that one's just slots, like video card slots, and they'll put as many in as you want. And then they have factory renewed ones down here. Then they have these weird big mono blocks for $880, which are high current ones. Then they have the coupler, which is $20. Then they have the giant fuck your face Gen 3 11 channel ones. And then they have Gen 3 2 channel for $1,200. Then they have Gen 3 3 channel for $1,399. Then they have Gen 3 5 channel for $1,800. And that's a page one. We got a whole other page of how many amplifiers. Oh my God. So if you want an XPA 7 Gen 3 7 channel, which would be the big daddy of this, you got to go up to $2,200. Then they have a 9 channel. Then they have a monoblock for $1,400. God, I would love to have a set of those. Emotiva, send them to me. And then they have, so wait, they have 3 channel and then 2 channel. So yeah, these are like 2,200. They got a lot of amps. They got a lot of fucking amps. Here's the 3 channel, it's for $500. And here's the one that I'm reviewing right now and telling you that I have no issue. Like I can guarantee you one basic fact. No surround receiver I know of under $2,000, I would trust to have amplification even close to this. Even close. Not just in rated power, but in quality. Because Emotiva, they basically, I was sitting here screaming at the processor, work better! I can't make it go. I wanted to adjust the trims, and without a screen, because I'm using this to feed, but it's not feeding the output back. Without a screen, that processor is fucking annoying. But the amplifiers, that's what Emotiva is known for. Big, fucking, dumb, blue LED'd, no LED'd amplifiers. They do the job. They get moderately warm, but look at the cleanliness of all this. It's just a beautifully simple design, and I think I could appreciate that in modern equipment. And that's it. That's the review of this. If you need to push, if you have the ability to push 7 individual channels, if your processor has this, like this is a perfect match for the MC700. These are probably going to stay glued together for a long time. The only other option I can see, and that's what I'm going to do with the 3, is I think a 3-channel amplifier would be perfect for front channel, or center channel, I'm sorry. That's front channels. Center channel, 2 rears only, and then you could use another maybe vintage or super high power left and right front channel amplifier, so you'd need 2. That's what a 3-channel does. A 3-channel, or you can use self-powered monitors. You can use 1, 2, 3 channels, and then use self-powered in the rear or wireless in the rear. So the 3-channel is probably going to be the one that's more desirable for people just starting out because you get more power. Like I said, I'll talk about that when I review it. I could have brought it up here, but I haven't used it yet. I know what it can do. I've been up here using this one, so I wanted to get this review out and into can. Look how cute the little things are. Little fuse. I actually brought my Pi 2 AES up here as well, since I freed it from my review desk using that Singzer SU6. So this is going coaxial into that, and down to my vertical television there, which has foobar on it, and foobar runs and it sends the signal out into the Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi comes here and it goes, boom, you're listening to music. Now, let's put these stupid LEDs back on. I hate them. Emotiva, it's 2022. I don't like RGB. Like, I don't like the RGB, like when you look at a computer and everything's like rainbows dancing. But I like an RGB keyboard because I get to pick that perfect shade of purple that just goes in the dark. I could just see it. It doesn't change color. It's just purple, dull purple. Make these LEDs RGB and make it so I can literally click a button until I get to purple, and then I could set a dimmer so I have dim purple. It'd be so much better than they've like banked on their blue. They've banked on their blue, and I can't stand it. Okay, so now we've watched as much as I want to play movies and stuff for you guys. Hold on, I'm putting on 1991's classic film, The Abyss.
We're losing her.
Launch the buoy. I'm in a sinking submarine. Very hard to demo things with movies. What you have to know is I've listened to shit up here and that I give it an approval. I can't do enough demos of movies and music because it's just literally every single time pulled. So now, the Sangean. So let's move this off of HDMI 1 and we're going to put it to a digital input, not coaxial, that's the thing. We're going to go to optical because...
is to have your Mickey D's breakfast sandwich riding shotgun.
My Mickey D's breakfast sandwich is riding shotgun. This was loaned to me way too long ago, and I've just been sitting on it because it's a radio tuner, and probably all of you have tuned out right now. Get it? Because you tuned out because it's a radio tuner. Who gives a fuck about the radio, Zeos? But this is a special tuner because it's an HD radio. That's a thing, not satellite radio, not like receiver in the air. That's an antenna. The reason I could do it up here because there's an antenna. Go into my roof thing there. That's that long thing. I could show you the antenna at the end of the video. And I'm not putting it back up there. It was like throwing a grappling hook. It's got a screen. This is on Amazon for like $200. And it works just like a normal radio tuner. You get an actual nice digital, if I unmute this, I'm trying to...
Planning of your next trip at Sandals and Beach.
Oh my God. I live in the middle of nowhere. Now I should be on direct mode. Stereo. No, not all channel stereo. No, not PL2 music and movies. And no, I went direct. So on direct mode means I'm getting 170, how many watts? 170 watts, 120, like 140 watts into these two channels. And I'm listening to the radio. And the radio sounds like shit. Here's the thing about the radio. We all have it in our cars. We're driving on the highway, there's road noise, windows are open, and it doesn't matter if it sounds bad. But we have all pretty much moved on to having, CD players in our cars. Maybe you have a CD player in your car. All right, that is a digital source that is clean and you could tell the difference between the radio and a CD. So what if I told you that right now, in certain locations, you're getting broadcast HD full CD quality radio, or roughly CD quality radio, free, just coming out of the air. And I'm glad I did this review now and not another 2 months from now because it may not exist. Because I came up here, I hooked this up. I've never listened to HD radio in my area before. And I told to scan. There's 2 scan modes on this. I want to look at it real quick. Let's put that remote down, take up this remote. What is the model number of this Sangean? This is the HDT20, $204. 4.5 stars. It's actually got amazingly good reviews. And it's like, why? And I'll tell you why. The remote is as generic as it comes. You get power, you change your AM or FM band. They don't have an AM antenna. Assume AM sounds like AM. There's no AM HD. If there was AM HD, I just shit my pants. So you get mute and volume. That's because this unit has RCA outs that you can change the volume and mute, or digital outs. That's what makes this one special, because of all the HD tunable radios, the owner says almost none of them have digital outs. I don't know if that's changed now or if this is a dying format. I could be talking about a dying format. This could be the end of it, but you know what? It's fucking impressive. Wait till I get to it. So volume and mute, you get to type in presets if you want, +10, frequency select. You get tune up and down, and you get HD seek left and right, and you get normal seek. Then you have info, and then menu, which menu is very basic, brightness of screen, and you want to force mono. It also has 2 buttons. It has 2 alarm buttons. It has a mono button. It has a light button, and it has a tone button. Tone controls only work on the RCA. We are going out of fiber optic out of this unit into the Emotiva MC700. So we're using that as the DAC processor, the DACs in that, which I've always said surround sound processors don't have the greatest DACs, but it's usually better than a $200 built-in HD radio. It's DAC. So that's why the owner bought it. That's why the owner likes this one. Now here's the thing. It has a nap button and a sleep button, and that's the coolest thing ever. Because sometimes I want to go to sleep, and sometimes I want to take a nap. If you hit sleep, it says sleep timer. And if you wait and you hit nap, nothing happens. I don't know. How do I take a nap? The front has mode preset, info menu, alarm, mute, sleep, volume up, volume down, HD seek. Here's your power button, by the way. You got a headphone jack, which I reluctantly did not try because I don't have faith in it. Here's your infrared receiver, and then you have a frequency select, and then this digital knob, obviously, I gotta unmute this. And you push, and it seeks.
I am woman on KRZ.
I'm gonna get so demonetized. So it'll do the normal scan and find all the channels around. If you tell it to search for HD stations, in my area of Eastern Pennsylvania, there is one, only one. And I know the owner of this is way, way further down, like 4 hours drive or something. So maybe he has more options than I do. But I hit HD Seek, and it's going to come across 99.9. And it's wait. There it is. All right. I don't know if you could hear that transition on the camera, but it went from sounding like absolute hot garbage FM radio, the Hawk, to flashing HD, then HD plus, then locking in and turning on stereo. And all of a sudden, this is CD quality. I mean, I don't want to listen to this particular song. This is one of the problems with the radio. I actually like being forced to listen to music, even if it's new terrible music, or whatever this is. I like kind of being forced to listen to what everyone else is listening to. That's kind of the community experience of the radio. It's the community experience of speakers, actually, when you think about it. If you listen to headphones, you are very like, leave me the fuck alone. This is my taste in music, fuck off. You put on speakers or a boombox in public, you're expecting everyone to hear it and either enjoy it with you or hate it half of the time. I like that. I like forcing people to choose the group they hang out with because of the music they play out loud. So that's sort of like radio in an overarching. I'm sure I read a dissertation on the overarching influence of choosing a radio music versus, loading up Spotify and be like, oh no, I only listen to this Russian folk music that no one else listens to. Leave me alone. I don't want to be friends with you. But everyone would know what, the new fucking Elvis song that came out in 1962 because the radio was all we had. So the fact that I can tune normal stations and then tell it to find an HD station and it just goes, hold on, I'm looking. And it looks for a while. It's a little bit slower. It stops and it's like, is this digital too? Because the way it works is they broadcast digital along with the analog. And when it hooks up, that song is eternal. I hate it. I don't want to hear that song. They had good music on this station, but maybe I have to wait till another day. The fact that clicked off and says HD1 plus, and then the stereo light locks on, you hear it not go from mono stereo like an old fucking radio. It's like, oh, sometimes it's not tuned properly and you got to get it. A little stereo light lights up. No, this goes from sounding like radio garbage to sounding like just digital music, which is a good thing. Not analog bad, digital good. Analog dirty and broken, digital clean and neat. And the benefit being that this unit will output, I don't know what the jitter is like, I don't know what the actual specs of the optical are coming out of it, but I trust the MC700 to do a decent enough job with digital inputs. And then I trust an amplifier to do a decent enough job with powering it to give me a Hold On Loosely. Dude, that is a song I want to listen to. I want to listen to Hold On Loosely. But I can't because the camera's on my head. But that sounds as good as anything you stream off of any service would be. So the question really is, why doesn't every channel, why can I tune, every other, wait, where's, if I hit that, it just seeks. That sounds like absolute asshole. And then if I put it to, oh God, I can't keep playing it. Yeah, I know it's 402. Give me another HD Seek. When it kicks on, blinking, 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 blink, blink plus. This immediately just opens, just boom, it's there. So this is one of those things that I wish, like I have a smartwatch. Look, if I do that, I'll link to this thing. It's a Hawaii, which I think President Trump blocked all Hawaiis. Huawas? Like $50 and I could do that and it tells me my steps and my heart rate and the calories I burn. It's great. It's fucking great. If I could have the HD radio picked up on my watch and then send it to my Bluetooth earbuds, I would listen to HD radio. But every station would need to have it. And none of those stations around me have it. I don't know if maybe in New York, I kind of want to take a field trip with this in New York. This company, this Sangen, make a ton of radios. I had to look up this unit and I'm on Amazon. There's like 97 carryable radios that claim HD, but none of them have digital outputs. This is the only unit that has a digital output of like the HD radio family. So everyone's given up on it already. And I kind of think that sucks. Especially if I was going to do a drive-in, because that's the thing. I kind of have a dream one day to set up a drive-in movie theater. But then the question is, how do you get audio to all the cars? And like, could you do Bluetooth, mass Bluetooth? And then that's suck. But HD radio would be a perfect way to do it, because you would just set up FM's transmitters, and everyone would click over, but nothing will do that. So it's a good video and a bad video. I'm sad that this isn't ever. I want my fucking 06 Tacoma. I would go change the head unit out and give HD radio, because I'm driving around and it sounds like ass. In an old Tacoma, I can tell the radio signal sounds like shit. My father had a really nice tuner. I forget what brand it was, with a big manual analog knob, and it would slide the actual physical thing over it. I loved tuning it just so to get that stereo locked in. It'd be perfect. And this, I don't know what song's playing right now. Is Hold On Loosely still playing? It is. Songs are real long. Gotta make it shorter. It's gonna work on the radio. It's gotta be, cut it down to 305. You gotta cut it down to 305. Anyway, so that's this unit. I gotta give it back to its owner. I would love to find because it doesn't need to be this big. This is fucking ridiculous. It's a full-size unit just so you could put it in a cabinet. This thing could be mini squirrel. It could be this big probably if you plug an antenna into it, and then just have it, okay, scan, and then it would just scan for digital signals. And I want to hear a digital. Give me a digital fiber optic and a 3.5 millimeter out, or coaxial digital out. It'd be great. I would listen to more radio. I know you can go to like your Amazon Alexa and to like, Alexa, turn on, Kiss FM or whatever fuck you listen to, or 103.8 oldies. And that's probably is that better? You think that's a better quality? Because I don't know. I actually don't know what the streaming properties are. If you ask like iHeartRadio's app to play you music, is that digital? They're not giving you the compressed analog. But is it CD quality, or is it compressed like 128 MP3? I don't know. This would just be cool as fuck, because it's actually free and over the airwaves. There's no subscriptions. There's no nothing. And I miss being able to listen to the radio without feeling like there's just so much better stuff out there. All right, I'm gonna do that thing where I stand up again without like falling into the glass table. I have Megameans under there somewhere. Like you get up from a fight in a anime. So yeah, if you're, oh, by the way, another Emotiva thing, and this usually sits behind my vertical television. This actually is a 7.1, because I'm using that giant 15-inch clip sub. Do you see that clip sub? Or waving at it, high clip sub. That sub is wirelessly connected usually to my television with the center speaker with just a JBL 520C. There's a whole video on that. Zeos, link the video with the 520C center channel sub mono solution. That video got so many views because I put the words mono solution in there. But yeah, that sub usually reinforces the center channel there. And now it's legitimately a 0.1 sub. And when I'm watching, when I put a movie on up here, this whole room rocks. So that fucking subwoofer is kicking ass. So I'll link to that subwoofer. And it's only doable because the Emotiva Virtual CU is a very simple USB powered, which I'm powering actually off the unit's service port, and then just plug in your 0.1 and it transmits over there. And you pair it once, and I've never had a problem with repairing. Every blackout, it just comes on. So I'm using the sub that's already existing with the wireless, and then I hook up to all 7 speakers, and I think this is pretty fucking cool up here. I don't know if I could put another surround sound I don't know how I would do, like if I put a screen that came down here, it would come down somewhere here, which doesn't leave enough room for a center. So maybe the center has to sit behind the, I don't know. Again, this space is bizarre. This is my original mattress. A lot of guests insist on sleeping up here. That way is east, so when the sun comes up at 6 a.m., you get fucking murder balled. But some people love that shit. I tried it once, and it's like, not for me, dog. I'm gonna sleep till like 9, and I don't want to see the sun ever. Just cover my face. Okay, so thank you to the owner of the FM radio. I'll use the power button, which is, again, weird. Not here. Weirdly there. That's the weird place. When you turn it off, by the way, it says the date and the time. Giant time. It's giant. I put it in 24-hour mode. I don't know why it says 4 o'clock. It should say 1600 hours. So thank you to that. Thank you to our wallpaper. I figured I needed to make a nice bold wallpaper since the screen is so tiny. So thank you to that. There is new merch coming. I want to just put that out there. This sticker, not quite as big. There's going to be smaller versions of it. That's an anime sticker I just got on the internet. Thank you to Emotiva for sending this out. I actually purchased the MC700 when it came out because Emotiva wasn't talking to me at that time. So I bought that. They sent me this. Finally, I have a full surround receiver. I hate the software part of the MC700, but I got to tell you, the decoding process and having everything just amplified and powered and properly done, this is fucking amazing. So now the only thing left is to get a bigger processor, Emotiva, wink wink, that does Atmos, so I could do another Atmos processor. Then I could use the 7-channel and the 3-channel, and that'll give me 7. I could use 4 of them for Atmos, or I could use 6 for Atmos, and 1 for the center. And get off my walls, you stink bugs. There's stink bugs flying. I hate stink bugs. Stink bugs. By the way, you like my rubber tree? This came with the house, but it's fucking gorgeous. I water it once a week. There's a couple nasties on these leaves. Pasta's telling me how to deal with it. Also, that girl from Sword Art Online, I don't blame her. She's not her fault. She was born into the worst anime ever made. Anyway, I'm done. I'm Zeospantera. I will link to everything you've seen here, including the Pi Hat, which I didn't demonstrate, but you understand how cool the Pi Hat is receiving music. In fact, I put it in that mode because right now I go to digital, Bluetooth, coaxial. So now, if I go downstairs and play music on the TV, it'll happen up here. It'd be great. Anyway, I'm done. I'm Zeospantera. Check out the wallpaper in the description. Also, the wallpaper horde on the 2nd channel if you want to know how to do that. Patreon and Subscribe Star support this channel so that I could afford to buy more amazing speaker stands like those are currently sitting on. I don't know if I could link a lifetime plastic chair, but fuck, it's doing its job for like the last 2 weeks. They're up at the perfect height. I feel safe and secure with them. They're good. And then when I'm not using my speaker stands, they double as an actual seat. So Patreon and Subscribe to support this channel. You get to see all these reviews early. So if you're interested in buying that and 150 patrons of mine see it, there will be none left, and then you can't buy it. So you might want to get in on that. You get to participate in yard sales, which I don't think... If I had to sell the 3-channel or the 7-channel, I'd probably sell the 7-channel. Because I feel like I could use a more powerful 3-channel more, but then again, this does all the work I ever think. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, Patreon, Subscribe Star, see reviews early, participate in yard sales 1st to the 10th of every month. Get lossless sound demos, and all the lost sound demos are accessible in a private channel, which I haven't done sound demos in a while, which means I haven't done headphones and speakers in a while, so I got to get on that. The $10 tier gets you in a private behind-the-scenes Telegram chat where you could ask me any questions you want. If you want to ask me questions, you're like, Zeos, I have a mezzanine just like yours. No one does. I've never seen something like this. This is fucking wild. A mezzanine just like yours, and I want a surround sound. You could ask me questions in there. You also get access to a private swap meet that you're in for the life. Once you've joined the $10 patronage chat, for life, you're in the swap meet, unless Telegram goes down, and then I'll figure something else out. But yeah, no, that's it for today's video. I'm gonna go now, but I'm gonna leave this on. I'm gonna go play music on it in all channel stereo mode. Why wouldn't it change modes? Change modes. And then make probably fajitas. So I'll buy fajitas now soon. Bye.